The room was tense. You could feel it in the air, the way silence sometimes weighs heavier than words. The auditorium was packed to the brim with young students, seasoned activists, and everyday Americans who had come to witness a highly anticipated discussion. On one side of the stage sat Senator Bernie Sanders, a man whose voice had carried through decades of political battles, always fierce, always uncompromising. On the other side was Robert F. Kennedy Jr., carrying not only his own convictions but also the weight of a name etched deep into America's history. The event had been billed as a dialogue about the future of democracy, but everyone knew it would be more than that. This wasn't just a conversation, it was a clash of values, of legacies, of two men who stood for truth but in different ways. And when Bernie leaned forward, eyes sharp with the fire of his convictions, the atmosphere shifted from cordial to confrontational. Mr. Kennedy, Bernie began, his Brooklyn accent cutting through the stillness, I have to ask, how can the American people trust your integrity when some of your positions seem to contradict the values of fairness and justice your family has long stood for? Are you not betraying the very foundation your name represents? Gasps rippled through the audience. The question wasn't just sharp, it cut to the bone. Kennedy sat still, his hands resting calmly on his lap. His face didn't harden, nor did he rush to defend himself. Instead, there was a softness in his eyes, as if he carried not anger but sorrow at the very idea of mistrust. For a long moment, he said nothing. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Bernie, known for his directness, had landed the kind of blow that could end debates. But Kennedy wasn't a man who rushed into defense. He inhaled deeply, looked out at the audience, and then back at Bernie with a gentleness that disarmed everyone. Senator, Kennedy began softly, his voice steady but calm, I understand your question. And I understand why people may doubt me. Integrity, after all, is not something you declare, it's something you live. And it is tested, again and again, when it would be easier to abandon it. The audience leaned in. Kennedy's tone wasn't combative, it was almost tender, as though he were speaking to a friend rather than a critic. My family's legacy is not about perfection, he continued. It's about struggle. It's about falling short, learning, and standing back up with a commitment to something bigger than yourself. When my uncle said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country, he wasn't asking for blind loyalty. He was asking us to take responsibility. That's what I'm trying to do. Not to live in the shadow of a name, but to honor it through my own imperfect service. You could see Bernie shift in his seat. The fire in his eyes softened, though he held his ground. The crowd, however, was captivated. Kennedy wasn't dodging the question, he was abso.